chances. Bin and Williams.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.
The final score, Chesterfield 1, Wrexham 1. And Wrexham will be hugely disappointed with their second half performance as they allowed 3 points, which were certainly within their grasp, to slip away. An injury time equaliser, but Wrexham couldn't complain about that because they surrendered initiative of the game for the last 25 minutes or so. They were top of the table at that point as well, and a costly lapse, but a lapse which was coming, in all honesty. The team news was interesting from Chesterfield's point of view as they packed their sides with defensive players. We know Martin Allen went to watch Wrexham play on Tuesday, and it seemed the main lesson he drew from it was he was worried about Rakeal Pike getting the ball on the diagonal down the left-hand side, so he played a centre-back, Will Evans, at right-back, and he was a real fish out of water. He wasn't quick enough to deal with Pike at all, and had real problems from the start. He would be hooked at half-time. By then Wrexham had the lead and had the initiative and were causing problems down that flank. But having said that, Evans was vulnerable at right back. The fact of the matter is, on a very windy, blustery day, Wrexham were not really looking too comfortable with the conditions either. Chesterfield were a physical side, wanted to turn it into a scrap, and it was pretty much being played on their terms as they were aggressive in the challenge. And it was difficult for Wrexham to get the ball down on play, kicking into the wind in the first half. They were trying to knock long balls over the top to turn a defence, and it looked quite threatening, especially when it was Pike who was the recipient, but they weren't quite getting there. Having said that, there were some controversial moments to come. The referee had a few big calls to make. The ref, Chris Pollard, who in the 4th minute had the first big call. 3 Wrexham shouts for a red card against Halifax players. Denton, a big target man, jumping. He caught Walker in the head. Impossible to see from our position with what part of his body and with what intent, but the referee decided that a yellow card was the appropriate punishment, and Denton was able to get away with it. In the 20th minute, Wrexham took the lead. It was well, I say against the run of play, it was pretty scrappy up until that point, but it was that danger point of Pike getting in behind Evans, a diagonal ball. He got in behind it. Pike, at first, had seemed pulled back by the shirt, and then Evans' arms went over top, may well have handled it as well. Referee pointed to the spot correctly. Then he had the decision to make about what colour card it was. We know about the triple jeopardy where you're not supposed to send a player off for a professional foul in the penalty area. But if it's a shirt tug or a handball, it can be, and it looked like it was either of those things. The referee decided a yellow card's enough. The second red card let off for Halifax. Brad Walker stepped up and made no mistake, slamming in with power through the middle to score his first goal for Wrexham. And Wrexham at that point really got a grip on proceedings, and that was the point where they really could have won it. Tremendous ball out to the right-hand side by Wright, sent Rutherford scampering away, and he hit an equally good early cross at the 6-yard box. Fondop attacking it unmarked on the stretch, put it over the bar. It was a good chance, although it's got to be said, it skipped up and over the height, and he shinned it over. Frustration for Fondop. And Wrexham could have put the game to bed, and a couple of minutes later, another opportunity. Pike doing well to pull the ball back after holding the ball up on the left flank, right from 20 yards out, hitting it with power, looking for a second goal of the week. Well tipped over by Burton. In the opening 40-odd minutes, the only real threat from Chesterfield came from a phenomenal free kick from the ill-fated Will Evans. It was about 30 yards out in central. He hit it like a rocket, and it just whistled past the right post, hit the net support, and bounced away to safety. Wrexham then were quickly back up the other end. Young putting in a free kick for Pike, who probably should have done better within the 6-yard box, real close range. It was a headed opportunity, unmarked, tightish angle, but he went, I think, to try and nod it downwards, got his angles wrong and put it into the side netting. As the half ended, Chesterfield started to have a little bit of a threat. Evans on his one foray over the halfway line hit a cross in from the right hand side, hit Pike, went behind for a corner. Chesterfield adamant that it was a penalty for handball. Referee wasn't interested. And then Hines making a superb break down the left-hand side. He cut into the box, beat Lawler, pulled it back beautifully. Langton had come off his line to meet Hines, and as a result it was pretty much an open goal, but Rowley on the edge of the area decided to hit it first time on the stretch, put it a long way over when he had time to bring it under control and pick his spot. Wrexham finished the half well though. A corner cleared back to the taker, Young on the left flank. He beat Hines beautifully, nice footwork, and ripped in a shot which just skidded across the face of goal and just past the far post. And then Another corner swung in and cleared. Young again sweeping in across. This time Evans doing ever so well to head it behind as Pearson was lurking and looked certain to head it into the net. Half-time brought a change. We assume Mark Hindson must have been injured. He went off. James Jennings came on. And the start of the half, Wrexham looked okay. Rutherford swinging in a good cross, flicked cleverly on by Fondop, and Wright again going for goal from the edge of the area, hitting a volley which went over the bar. But as time wore on, Chesterfield started to wear Wrexham back, and Wrexham just started getting much too deep in midfield. Chesterfield started throwing attacking options on as well. They replaced Denton, and they started to look threatening. Shaw had come on at half-time, and he looked really lively down the right-hand side. A corner into the crowded box by Rowley was half cleared. Shaw nodding it down, and then Bingham Williams smashing in a powerful shot which hit his own man standing underneath the bar and ricocheted away. We came back in. Hines on the right hand side cutting cleverly and tried to rip in a shot, but put it well over the bar. Wrexham had the odd breakaway opportunity, constantly wasted by poor first touches. Rutherford in the box not being able to make the most of things. Pike set up by Bevan, who'd come on up front for Fondop, and again his touch just let him down. And Wrexham's changes as they switched to really more of a 4-1-4-1 didn't really work well. Holroyd looked rusty on the left-hand side when he came on to replace Pike and struggled to hold the ball up. Bevan battled manfully, but Fondop was holding the ball up better up front, and Wrexham just suddenly found themselves sitting deep, the defence much too deep, often making interceptions in the 6-yard box, and the midfield in front was deep, but it wasn't really protecting the back four. In all honesty, it was much too easy for Chesterfield to pass their way through to the edge of the area and find a little bit of space there. The pressure mounted further. Amachi, the target man who came on to replace Denton, with a lovely piece of skill on the turn right side the box and a shot. Leighton standing up well, parrying it well. In the 81st minute, the third incident which could have led to a red card. Shaw shoving Jennings over as he ushered the ball out for a throw-in. Jennings hitting the advertising hoarding pretty hard. Again, it was just a yellow. The referee took a lot of stick from the Chesterfield fans and Martin Allen and the Chesterfield players during the first half, and he seemed very lenient in the second half. I'm not saying necessarily the 3 red card shouts were reds. The professional found probably the best shout for one, but the fact of the matter is there were a lot of cast iron yellows, late tackles, which he failed to penalise, I think because he was a bit intimidated by Chesterfield. In the 83rd minute, a corner swept in. Hollis meeting it 8 yards out on the stretch of his left boot, steering it towards goal. Leighton jumping to his right and making a fairly comfortable catch. 3 minutes from the end, a big scramble from another corner as the ball ricocheted around and it went for another corner. When this one was swept in, it was picked up first by Leighton, who tried to attack it as he saw it coming in, swung a fist at it desperately, didn't make contact. Maguire, attacking it right behind him, was in front of an open goal, but Leighton's fist had put him off and he headed it over from inside the 6-yard box. But Wrexham's luck didn't hold. As we went into added time, the ball picked up on the left-hand side and swept in to the far post, where Smith, who had shifted to right back after Evans was substituted at half-time, unmarked, planted a good controlled header across Leighton and inside the left post. Chesterfield had the point that, frankly, they deserved, but which Wrexham had somewhat squandered. For further analysis, have listened to what James Harrison and I thought of after the match on Calon FM.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.
Lifts it over the top, and that is the final whistle. Frustration for Wrexham as they lose their lead in added time. There's not that much time for us to analyse this one, James, but I think it's fair to say, in summary, that's just I think 3 points thrown away.
3 points thrown away, yeah. Shouldn't have let Chesterfield get back into the game. Shouldn't have let them invite the pressure on. They've done it and they've paid the cost.
Absolutely. We got 2 minutes. I want to got a bit more tea in time than I maybe laid on. But
yeah, it was a poorly fought game. Poor tactics in Chesterfield, but it paid off in the end, and we just surrendered that midfield, allowed the flanks to be dominated. You know, their left back's playing as a left winger. You put that many crosses in the box, and eventually Martin got it right with the substitutions. He brought pace on, he brought movement on, and that's what did for Wrexham.
You know, they've stopped us some bringing the ball down and playing, but I still think we could have done it better in the second half than we did. You know, when you're under pressure, because as you say, bodies are being thrown up the pitch. If you can get the ball down in midfield rather than sit deep in midfield, pass your way through them, you're going to open them up. And we did on a couple of occasions of breakaways, but honestly, the bottom line is we just didn't use the ball well enough in the second half, and quite frankly, we were forced too deep, and it was disappointing.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure about substitutions.
Yeah, me too.
I think it's Carrington, we think, was injured, so Jennings comes on, which I was happy for at the time because of the Evans thing. But yeah, I don't know about Fondop. I think Fondop, I like Bevan coming on, but I think Bevan should have been in for Pike and kept Fondop on for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not sure about the last one of Holroyd because he was just looked very ring rusty. He was just not up to anything.
The man of the match call is a tricky one.
Yeah, I'm going to give it to Walker just for his first goal, and I think he, as much as we said the midfield went missing, he still kept battling. Luke Young and Kevin Roberts also had good games, but I think I'm going to go with Walker.
Yeah, he protected the back four well, didn't he? It was frustrating as well to see that, you know, players like Young, who had a big influence in the first half, found himself just defending on the edge of the area in the second.
Yeah.
So, in the end of it, I suppose it's a point. It's something. But it should have been 3, you suspect, and by the end of it, it could easily have been none, because Chesterfield showed real spirit to push on, and Wrexham, well, their support was magnificent, but their team couldn't quite live up to that.
This is the Final Whistle podcast from the Wrexham AFC media team.